Attack on Titan Season 4, also known as the final season, is by far the most violent season of the anime, and the difference from previous seasons is that the majority of this violence is committed by humans against other humans. The show's former heroes and antagonists, as well as many newly introduced characters, fight bitterly against each other in an ever-shifting web of alliances and betrayals. But the big question is, does Attack on Titan glorify or condemn war? As it turns out, just like the morality of every character in the show, things aren't so black or white. While thematically the show presents a very anti-war stance, showcasing its horrors and pointlessness, this often has a disconnect from how watching the show actually feels. Believe it or not, the main culprit behind this is the jaw-dropping quality of MAPPA's animation. Take for example this scene, where Eren's former comrades are pursuing him and Eren's Jaegerist followers get in the way. There is an incredibly intense battle where the major characters cut down tons of their former Survey Corps comrades. In the climactic part, Mikasa swings between the rooftops and brutally executes multiple people before blowing two up with thunder spears and showering herself with blood. The breathtaking animation here, combined with the season's main theme composed by Kota Yamamoto, as well as Mikasa's unstoppable fighting ability, make this one of the most exciting and captivating moments in the entirety of the show for me. In fact, I was so hyped after watching it initially that I replayed it several times and then messaged a friend who's been a huge Attack on Titan fan for years about how my jaw had dropped while watching. And his response caught me totally off guard. He said, "It was heartbreaking." That made me really stop and consider things. He was right. It was a heartbreaking scene. Mikasa was taking out people who would have served with and admired her just a short time before. She was fighting people who believed they were the last line of defense between their homeland and destruction. They saw her as a betrayer, and their last thoughts were likely something to the effect of, "Why is she doing this?" But in the moment when I was watching the scene, that wasn't what I felt at all. All I felt was excitement to see Mikasa absolutely wreck everyone who stood in her way, the same excitement I felt when I saw Gabby snipe Flock out of the air minutes earlier, or Falco transform into a Titan and start a rampage. Now, one explanation for this could be that I'm simply a heartless person, but I don't think that's the case at all, considering I get teary-eyed all the time watching much less intense anime scenes. What's interesting is that I had the complete opposite reaction at the end of the previous episode, where Connie is forced to kill two of his former comrades who attack him in Armin. I found myself very sad and solemn watching this scene. So what's the difference between the first scene, which seems to make a tragic moment into something glorious, and the second one, which really conveys how terrible war is? Well, after watching them over multiple times, I found several things at play. In Mikasa's scene, everything moves at a breakneck pace, and the quality of the animation is ramped up to the highest it's been for the entire season. The music also swells to a climax. In Connie's scene, everything is much more subdued. The camera stays in one place for much longer stretches of time, lingering on the characters' faces. The animation, while still drawn well, isn't flashy at all. And moments after Connie fires his first shots, the music disappears entirely, leaving a deafening silence after he kills his second former friend before he lets out an anguished scream. War is terrible. Attack on Titan is very clear about that. Almost every character is morally gray at this point, and has committed horrible acts out of revenge or necessity. The show's former heroes have just as high body counts as the people we originally saw as the villains, and some of those antagonists have worked tirelessly for a shot at redemption. There is a cycle of violence that keeps repeating over and over, seemingly unable to be broken, which brings misery to everyone on every side of the conflict. And yet, while these themes are clear, it's hard for them to shine through in the most action-packed moments of the series. MAPPA is one of the most skilled and high-profile anime studios out there right now, and one side effect of that is that scenes with huge moral repercussions to them often become so epic to look at that it's difficult to consider the emotional gravity until they're over. For example, consider the episode when Eren declares war on Marley and forces his friends to come fight as well to rescue him. The number of civilian casualties in this stretch is awful to think about, but in the moment, the incredibly well-animated action and the reveals of all the characters' time-skip designs after a long time of not seeing them builds too much hype. I've watched a lot of different people's reactions to Armin's appearance, where he effectively nukes the harbor with his Titan powers, and everyone seems to respond the same way, with cheers and excitement. But things hit much harder later when Armin is merely surveying the scene and realizes that he's become the very thing to these people that Bertholdt's Colossal Titan was to him. So at times, Attack on Titan absolutely glorifies war, due to the excitement that skillfully crafted animation and music can bring. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. That's because, while inadvertent or not, it has the effect of helping us relate to the characters even more. When we watch the calmer scenes that force us to see the aftermath of the fight scenes, and examine the gray morality of the characters, it causes us to reevaluate the moments that we thought were hype. The guilt I feel for having thought, "this is awesome," in the moment helps me relate to the guilt the characters feel when the adrenaline of the fight wears off and they realize they've perpetuated the cycle of violence even further. So, it's okay to sit back and enjoy some of the coolest anime fight scenes in quite a while. But it's also important to take a critical look at things afterward and realize that even though characters' actions may be justified or make sense, they're not necessarily good. That's a big reason why I really can't bring myself to hate any character in the show. Everyone has been hurt, and everyone has retaliated. Everyone is given moments to shine and moments where their actions hurt others deeply, and sometimes those moments are one and the same. And there's still one arc to come that will only intensify these themes more. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I'm Matrix from Matrix AM, Anime, and more, and I hope you have a great day.